Well, hello everyone and good evening. Welcome to a bonus episode of the Missing Lynx post-game live stream podcast, whatever it is. I'm your host, Andrew Dukowitz, beat reporter for Zone Coverage. I cover the Lynx, Wolves, and Golden Gophers women's basketball team for the website, and now Gopher Hole. I'll be over there too if people are desperate for Gopher content. But we are doing a bonus episode because Conrado Pascual is kind enough to join us to talk about the Valkyries, which it became official last night, Conrad, that we have ourselves a first round matchup here.
Indeed we do. Indeed we do. You know, that's as fate would have it. You know, I think most Valkyrie fans, this was the matchup they wanted to avoid. But as has been the case all season, right? Overcoming the odds, right? Exceeding expectations, right? This is just another opportunity to write another chapter in what has been an amazing inaugural season.
Yeah, and the Valkyries, I think, just to start off, I mean, I wrote about them for a piece that's coming out tomorrow, and they have really adapted and embraced kind of the team full of sixth man type of mindset where they, rebound the ball really efficiently. They're a good defense. They slow the game down and just grind it out. I think they're one of the slowest pace teams in the league. They defend the rim. They're one of the best points in the paint against teams. Just, what is it about this Valkyries team that makes them really able to adopt that kind of mindset and mentality of just grinding out the season and grinding out wins?
I mean, it's kind of funny, right? I think, even during the expansion draft, during training camp, the preseason, it was, you would hear it quite often, from fans, from the national media, that this is a team of, kind of like perennial six players, right?
Mm-hmm.
A team's at best their sixth player, something like that, kind of players that have been overlooked. And, just like any Disney movie, I think that's kind of like what, like the Mighty Ducks or something like that, right? It totally bonded the team. I think they kind of galvanized around that. I think they like the idea that they have the opportunity to, again, right, kind of show why people are wrong to have overlooked them. So there is that in terms of the communal aspect of coming together. But really, in a weird way, a lot of these players, even like our all-star Kayla Thorne, even Veronica Burton, who will likely be this year's most improved player, in order for them to have stuck in the league, I'm talking about more like sort of the veterans, they've all had to adapt their role throughout their careers. Right, that even goes to Chechi and Temi Fagbenle,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think in a weird way, having to always kind of play that ancillary role, familiarize them. They were able to familiarize themselves with how they could actually help the other younger players and each other adapt. Where even though they're all taking on a bigger role, more responsibility, they found ways to kind of help each other get into that. And I think another thing too, you'll hear teams, players, coaches use this kind of buzzword all the time, but communication. And I think that's both a testament to the players, but also Natalie Nakase and her coaching staff. I mean, quite literally, you have a number of players who, let's be real, English is not their first language. I think everyone knows the Valkyries are a very international team. We have key players who are actually still in the process of trying to learn and improve their English. But again, I think it's all kind of built into their understanding, taking their prior experiences, whether it was in their prior WNBA teams or their overseas leagues, understanding how to just really read the floor and being able to help each other say, hey, at a certain point in my career, I was playing this role, and they can kind of advise each other how to do that. That seems to have been the key. Having talked to a lot of beat reporters who cover the team, it seems like, again, despite all those potential barriers, they use it as a strength. And I think it just helps them really see things from multiple perspectives, where it can kind of culminate in some unique ideas that have helped him make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting like Lynx Valkyries matchup this season because they played early on, and I think the early on game, the Lynx were still very much in there. I mean, it was a closer game than I think people thought it would be with an expansion team, but the Lynx were very much in there. We want to run the league out and, build a 10-game lead in the standings so that they don't have to play competitive basketball in a month. These last two games, it was a little bit closer. And to your credit, it is, I mean, they have 10 scorers in double digits. Kayla Thornton obviously went down with the injury and she's no longer with the team. But, is almost as soon as that happens, Rupert starts scoring more for them as well. I mean, they do have that team approach, which I guess I'm curious just how much stock do you put into the last two games that the Lynx and Valkyries played? Because, the first of which the Lynx were resting some players, and the word that I've used it is the Lynx almost like accidentally won that game. I don't know if they were necessarily expecting to or trying to as hard as they wanted to, but then they just kind of put together a run. And then game 44 on Thursday night, the Lynx made no bones about it that was a playoff game to them, and they brought that energy from the tip, allowing just 8 points in the first quarter and kind of just dispelling the Valkyries right away. How much do you put into those two games, though? Do you feel like that's how the series is going to go, or do you feel like that was more of just an aberration of maybe bad nights, bad offense?
I mean, the fact that the Valkyries either kind of hung around for as long as they did in both games, or actually in the last game, they were able to really claw their way back in.
Yeah.
It always comes down to defense, and that has always been their identity. And I feel like, again, even going back to the expansion draft, not to say like, oh my God, right? Like I can read Natalie Nakase's mind, but if you just kind of look at the type of player archetypes that they had drafted, the ones that they were like signing, you could kind of tell that there was a specific kind of defensive identity that they wanted, right? So again, kind of similar to the Lynx, right? You don't have traditional rim protection like the Lynx. The Valkyries don't have like a true rim protector. They got Temi Fegbenle, but you don't have someone that you just kind of want camping out in a drop. But what they do have is they have a lot of long rangy athletes. They want the defense to be able to move, right? They don't want the defense to be stagnant. It's been well documented that the Valkyries lead the league in a number of defensive possessions played in the zone. That eventually kind of went down as the season went on, but still, they still finished the season leading the league in possessions defended in the zone. Again, that's something that they'll always have to hang their hat on, right? And that is what they rely on. On the flip side, the Valkyries, they play at the slowest pace in the league, so it kind of works together. It's complementary basketball. They want to grind down possessions. They want to limit the total number of possessions, even for both teams, right? Because if it becomes a shootout, if it becomes a track meet, even though they've won a few of those this season, like the likelihood of them being able to win goes down like significantly, So going back to your initial question, was it an aberration? I would say not completely, in the sense that, again, like Natalie Nakase, her coaching staff, she credits them all the time. They are very good at finding ways to really muck up a game, like specific, like from game to game, like how they defend, how they defend the Lynx is not the same way that they defended, say, like the Storm or the Atlanta Dream, even when people say like, oh, they play in a zone, the zone coverage changes significantly from opponent to opponent, right? Sometimes like against like the Aces, it'd be like a moving zone. Against like, say, Seattle, it's kind of more of like a diamond,
Sure.
or a shell,
Yeah.
so it changes. It changes. What I will say though is earlier in the season when they kind of kept things close with the Lynx until you guys pulled away. Like, I think our first matchup, you guys eventually pulled away like late third quarter, and then you just kind
Yeah.
of maintained that lead. But same thing. I think what maybe we'll see it again with some new tricks, but going back to the whole communication for, even though they don't like to be called an expansion team, they're an expansion team. They're a new
Yeah.
collection, right,
Yep.
of players, or at least coming together. For a team that really hasn't had multiple seasons of chemistry, their ability to communicate on the defensive end is extremely impressive, because like they can change up their defensive coverage from possession to possession. That usually takes a lot of time, whether you're going from like 2-3 to 3-2, or you're going to go to man, or no, now we're going to go like blitz, or like, and they do it almost seamlessly. That is the kind of the stuff I think can frustrate, or not frustrate, but at least like, slow down the
Yeah.
Lynx. If you could tell by my tone, I am understanding that we are a massive underdog. So yeah.
It's been hard, like, covering the Lynx, like trying to not sound like a homer, because like I try to be objective when I'm covering the Lynx or the Wolves, and now the Gophers, I'll try and do the same. But like when the team is ranked literally the best in almost every advanced analytic, they have an MVP candidate, 3 All-Stars, the defensive player of the year. It's looking like Hall of Fame coach. It's very hard to just like any series they're in this playoffs, they're going to be the favorite, and it's going to be hard for those other teams to play. What's been really interesting, kind of digging into the Valkyries the last couple days, is just like we said, they have this one of the slowest offenses in the league because they try and slow it down, limit possessions. It's just like in football, right? You run the football on offense. When you have a really good defense, you want to wear out the opposing team's offensive line. And then when your offense comes out, or when your defense comes out, you try and make them make mistakes, which, again, the Valkyries, they are the best team in opponents' 2-point field goal percentage. They're the best team guarding against the points in the paint. They're the best team when it comes to, they're a really good team when it comes to like forcing turnover percentages, rebounds. They're in the top 5. I mean, they're a very smart team. And then you look at their offense, and they don't really play that running back style. They bomb threes. I think they were in the top 2 for 3-point like percentage of shots that are 3-pointers. So they're such a weird team to kind of like envision, like, how is this going to work? Because usually when you're shooting a ton of threes, you're a 8 seconds or less offense trying to run up and down the court, create openings that way, and the Valkyries really aren't. It's and then, I mean, to your other point too, of just, we had Chechi Zandalazini here in Minneapolis last year, and she is tough as nails. She's a brilliant basketball player. She rarely makes mistakes, just a mid-range kind of specialist. And it kind of seems like you got that type of player on the Valkyries from every expansion draft roster. I mean, it's really an impressive thing that they're doing. That I think if there's one person that's going to take that coach of the year vote away from Cheryl, it's Nikase. Which, how impressive has it been just to see like her ability to manage this group and elevate them this way?
I mean, both from kind of like in terms of both on and off court, I think her coaching performance has been phenomenal. Even though she came from, like Becky Hammond's coaching tree, at least within like the WNBA circles, but obviously she had experience coaching overseas in Japan. She was part of Tyronn Lue's staff with the LA Clippers, but like she's had to manage a lot of factors, right? In terms of having, like, make no mistake, Ohemanianen, our general manager, she's great, very smart, very forward-thinking individual, and she's also very good with the media. However, she isn't very vocal, like in the media. Like she doesn't have as much of a like a media presence. So Natalie Nikase obviously, like, more often, for the most part, she's gotten a lot of praise, which she has deserved. But when things are going badly, both on and off the court, say like maybe a player that was waived, that was, unpopular with fans, or, well, another player was waived coming back from Eurobasket, not popular with an entire country, so unfortunately she's the one who has to always be like in front of the cameras, you know what I'm saying? So she's managing ego, she's managing a fan base, then she's also actually coaching a team who's had never played together prior to this season. I have just been incredibly I've been incredibly impressed by her ability to, again, as you were saying, find ways to make things work, because again, as you also pointed out, this team does not have the offensive firepower to really match up with like the best teams in the dub. And I don't think that's necessarily criticism. I think that's just very factual, right? They don't really, that's the thing, going back to it, as you're saying, how can they pull this off? They don't. They lack shot creation off the dribble. They struggle to manufacture points against a set defense, which again in the playoffs, most things are in the half court. This will be a challenge. But having said that, over the course of 44 games, she found ways to be able to get them to have some semblance of an offense. So as you said, they shoot a lot of threes. I personally don't like the phrasing they spam threes, because like I understand her mindset.
I don't know if they spam threes, but I just looked up. They are number one in 3-point percentage attempts. So most in the league if you go by their total shot attempts, they have the most highest percentage of them.
No, you're not saying like, they're not a lot of fans.
They're not like, they're within the offense. I don't think they're like desperation heaving threes. So I'd just clarify that. But
that's the thing right there. Yeah. No, you're not saying it. It's just a lot of fans kind of use that phrasing, and I kind of like roll my eyes, because I'm not saying if I were a coach, I would have like advised the exact same thing, but I understand their kind of her philosophy, like why she allows this to happen, or if anything encourages it. She likes to call them family shots, right? If it's a shot created, let it fly. Don't hesitate, because here's the thing. And you've seen this, right? If you actually run them off the 3-point line, like there's only maybe like 2 or 3 who could like comfortably do something to attack that closeout, right? And the same thing, as talented as Temi Fagbenle is and Ileana Rupert, we don't have any true go-to scoring options in the post, right? Temi is more of a rim runner. We know that, right? She's a pick and roll kind of. Ileana Rupert is a pick and pop stretch 5, so I understand why they're just saying, okay, we're not particularly good at manufacturing these types of looks, at the rim, or like even, inside like the paint, inside the restricted circle. So let's just take more shots that we're actually comfortable taking. I understand that sometimes it could look bad, like 0 of 16 from 3 to start a game. Right?
That was the Lynx went 2 for 20 against Indiana, the second to last game against the season. And when Golden State, I think they were like 0 for 14, I like turned to Terry Horseman, the writer that sits next to me, and I was just like, what are the odds back-to-back games we're going to see historically bad 3-point shooting? It was that was wild. Conrado, I'm going to run a couple ads here. When we come back, please. I mean, we do have some people in the chat here. If anyone wants to ask any Golden State, Minnesota related questions, in the weeds or not, feel free, drop things in the chat. We're happy to answer them. That's why we do these live, so that we can be here for fans. And if not, I do have a couple other questions I'd just love to pick your brains about. But first, let's get some ad reads out of the way. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas. working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read, this time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. And Nate Pence right now, I just saw it on his Instagram earlier today. He is actually giving away 4 tickets to the Lynx Game 1 matchup Sunday, tomorrow, noon Central. Information is on his Instagram. I believe you just have to register a meeting with Pence Homes to qualify for it. Doesn't mean you have to sell or buy your home, but schedule a meeting, get 4 tickets, go to a playoff game. I do believe they are going to have the upper bowl opened up. And unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be giving pink wigs out again, which, I mean, Conrad, did you see the monotony that was going on? I mean, I have never been a part of something where they hand out 10,000 pink wigs and probably 80% of the crowd is wearing pink wigs, just going nuts for a fan appreciation night. It's just kind of wild. And I know the last time we saw you before, or the Lynx saw the Valkyries, not you, but the Valkyries before. I mean, the Chase Center was just rocking as well. I mean, how cool is it that kind of 2 of the best fan bases in the league get this matchup too?
No, I love it. I love it. You know, I mean, even as a fan of the opposing team, I think it's great. I mean, like that's what it's all about, right? I mean, like I love when a fan base is truly invested. You know, and more so emotionally than financially, but obviously you got to pay for those tickets. But no, I think it's really cool. And it's funny actually you brought that up. Like my parents, like they're loving this inaugural Valkyries year, and they called me up last night. And I guess they were watching that final game, right? The Valkyries and the Lynx, and they're like, "Is this like a thing that Minnesota does? Like, is this normal?" I'm like, "I think this is like a playoff push kind of thing, you know? Like everybody has like a rally towel, they have rally wigs. I get, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I tried to kind of I briefly tried to explain the whole stud buds thing, but you know,
the amount of people I've had to explain what Twitch is, what stud buds are, what studs are, what like pink, what it has been such a weird season for me to have to explain to people what like I mean even like what Twitch is. Like most people don't know what Twitch is.
Yeah.
So you're like sitting there like, well, couple of the players dyed their hair pink and they go on Twitch and they live stream and now they're like super famous because they did that at the All-Star break. So the Lynx gave out pink wigs to everybody, and in typical Minnesota Lynx fan fashion, everyone embraced it, and it was one of the more wild things I've ever been. I answered it on Twitter, but a couple people had asked of just like, did that rival the Nas Reed towel day, which I'm going to say it topped it because they only gave up 5,000 towels. They gave out 10,000 wigs. I mean, I don't know. It's been cool.
Yeah, watching the Valkyries home broadcast, I mean, you know, pan out to the crowd. I mean, you had people of all ages, all, you know, different, both genders rocking it. You know, you saw plenty of like older men wearing it. And, you know, actually, when you were a guest on my podcast, East Meets West, everybody check it out. You know,
yes, everyone do. You and Michael do a great job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. But we actually talked about that, right? About how much Michael and I, we really are really fascinated and in envy, right, of the Lynx culture, right? And I think last night what you saw, at least for me, looking at that, like from the outside looking in, it's like, see, this is exactly what you and I were talking about culture. It extends beyond the locker room, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that's truly built over time. It's earned, because I don't think you could just do that to any fan base. Like, here,
No.
on a wig or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, right?
That would be a tough sell if you were like Indiana or like Atlanta or probably even New York. If you just were like, here's some pink wigs, put them on. I think Vegas would do it because of the whole Asia Wilson
Yeah.
Pink Media Day thing. But yeah, the buy-in from Lynx fans. I mean, I've been saying it on this live stream all year of just it's wild how dedicated they are. It's wild how supportive they are.
Yeah.
And part of it, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it, because the Golden State like fans, like Warriors fans and like Bay Area people just seem to really take to this team. But part of the reason the Lynx fans are so invested is like the Lynx players are really authentic and like vulnerable with them. Like K-Mac has talked about mental health a ton. Nafisa Collier talks about being a mother. Courtney and Natisha obviously don't have any, doors or window shades on their like internal lives. Lan talks about being like a college student and how it was to move across the country. And when they do that, like they just gain more and more like credibility with their fans because people relate to that. Has that been a similar thing with the Valkyries, or has it been just, San Francisco, the Bay Area has been so desperate for like a WNBA team that now that they have one, they're not going to let them fail?
I mean, I think it's, to be fair, it's probably a little bit of both, right? Or a lot of both, right? But no, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Having been born and raised in the Bay Area, like folk, we love basketball.
Yeah.
Like we love it at all levels. So even when the Warriors were like just god awful, there was always constant support, people coming in, just watching like a 15-win team. That's 15 out of 82 games. All right. If you're not an NBA fan,
there were some dark days.
There were some dark ages
with Monte Ellis. And
before it got great.
Steph.
Yeah. Before it got great, it was pretty bad. But I think they really knew that, again, that passion for basketball would translate to the women's game. Now, interestingly, I think like I can't remember the final statistic. I want to say like they sold out for season tickets, right?
Yeah.
So I think like of the 18,064 maximum capacity, I think approximately, I could be wrong, I want to say approximately like 12,000 of them are season ticket holders. And of that 12,000, only like 70 of them also are Warriors season ticket holders.
Oh, wow.
70%. Yeah. So this is like, I'm sorry, no, only 30%. Other way around. Only 30%
so 70%
of them
are just Valkyries.
Exactly, right? So again, I think even Warrior fans, the Bay Area, like it's not like they're competing. Like they're completely like they're brother and sister teams. They're under the Golden State banner. I think they've been like Warrior fans are embracing them, but still, that's why like there's just even more basketball fans than you could have even imagined, like just beyond the NBA. And to your second question, like, is it these players? I think a lot of it is. I think a lot of it is like you talk about like how the Lynx players are very comfortable being vulnerable, and that vulnerability becomes a strength. I think the Valkyries players, they do that also similarly with the fan base. And one, they've obviously like they were very quick to ingratiate themselves to the Bay Area, going around, seeing the sites, like meeting the locals, but also like, and I think it's really unintentional at times. Like I remember like for example, our mascot, Violet, the Raven, right? The first night she debuted, we had like this big win. And I think that was the day, like, I can't remember, Tip Hayes, she passed someone notable on the all-time scoring list. I can't remember. And they were actually interviewing her about that. But then she just says, I want to give a great shout out to Violet. You're my girl. And then she quickly said, actually, you know what? No, you're my they, you're my them, like, and like, that's the thing. Like they really connect, with the local culture, the local vibe. And it's
Yeah.
been a really beautiful thing, right? Where it's just you would think that they've all been, living in the Bay Area like all their lives. So it's really
Yeah.
cool how the fan base has definitely taken to them.
It's been really cool to watch, and I kind of plan on asking more of the players tomorrow. But I talked to K-Mac before the game on Thursday, and asked her about it, of just how awesome was it to play at Chase Center, like just rocking sellout. And she said the thing that like stood out the most to me was, she said like we're playing in front of like new Lynx, like old Lynx fans that have been following us since the league started and just never had a chance to go watch a basketball game.
Yeah.
So she was just really kind of excited about that too, that just there's more opportunities for people that want to watch basketball to go out and watch their favorite team, whether it's the Valkyries or not. And I think we're going to see that a lot with these expansion teams, where the again, to relate to like football, Green Bay Packers fans travel well, Cowboys fans travel well. Like, I think we're going to see a lot more of these like Lynx fans that are going to be showing up to Lynx away games with their pink wigs, because they've never been able to watch a WNBA game because they live in Toronto or they live in Detroit, and there just isn't the ability to do it. So it's been really cool. I do have a more like long-term question for you, because
Please. Yeah.
the off season is approaching. I mean, middle of October, it'll be the off season for everybody. It did not just if you're knocked
Are
out.
you suggesting
Not
that
just
our
that you're
off
knocked
season
out
is
in
going
the
to
first
start
couple
soon?
games, but like everyone will be in the off season in a month. But Golden State, I feel like, with everyone on these 1-year rosters or 1-year contracts around the league, I feel
Right.
like Golden State has really set themselves apart as a destination to go out and get free agents. How much is that as like a thought, maybe in the back of fans' minds, of, this team, no team ever returns all 12 players, but
Yeah.
the Valkyries have a really good chance of like really landing some major free agents, just with branding, marketing, fan base, playing at the Chase Center. I mean, they have a lot going for them.
Yeah. I don't think that's in the back of fans' minds. I think that's always like, even though fans have enjoyed this ride and enjoyed all the success and even the ups and downs, like it's always been, I think, in the forefront of their thoughts. Obviously, there's always going to be those fans that like probably would have preferred that the Valks tank, right?
Yeah.
Because we didn't really, we didn't get the opportunity to lottery pick. Like we didn't even have any lotto odds to get Paige in this last draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because of our success, unless like the lottery format changes, we don't get a lottery pick again this year, right? Where we're basically locked in for the 8th overall pick. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I understand why fans are like, hey, we don't get a shot at the number 1,
Yeah.
But as you said, I think this is Joe Lacob. He kind of went about this inaugural year, like from an ownership and front office perspective. He kind of went about this inaugural year the way he did when he first took over ownership with the Warriors, where I remember, because I was there the day he was officially named owners, and he made a very, very bold declarations of we're going to win championships, and hey, right, he eventually delivered.
So far, so good.
Those early stages, he would find a way to take meetings with some of like the best NBA free agents, right? They had no shot. Like they had no shot of signing him, but he still thought it was important. Let's go out, right? Take that meeting. Let's really sell them an idea, a vision. And like, they may not sign with us, but they're going to watch what we do. Yeah. And the next time they become a free agent, they're like, whoa, they were not exaggerating. They can really deliver on what they're saying. That's exactly what they did last year. They took meetings with Kelsey Plum. They took meetings with Satu. I believe they took a meeting with Alyssa Thomas, right? I could be missing a few others, but they did, knowing full well they were not going to land any of them, right? But hey, a year later, you look at our situation, you compare it to some of the other situations of these other teams. You've seen all the rumors and all the stories
Yeah.
coming out. Like, yeah, right. The Bay Area suddenly looks like a very more appealing destination. So, for me at least, yes. Like, I am extremely optimistic about what they can do this offseason. I'm not going to set myself up for disappointment, but again, the way even though those big name free agents elected not to sign with the Valkyries last year, Ohemanian and her front office, her team of scouts, right? She comes from the Jonathan Kolb tree with Liberty, with very
Mhm.
heavy international scouting. They knew exactly what they were doing, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I trust them. Like I think they have probably a really nice plan laid out of what they want to do. So yeah, having said that, we will have to say bye to some of these fan favorites, but I mean, I think if they are leaving, it's because we'll be able to, bring in someone of comparable, if not potentially better, like a talent or skill set.
I think that's where my head's at too. Like it's interesting with the Lynx because I think you could make a pretty good argument they have 8.5 starters right now, with Masha
Yeah.
probably being that half. I mean, it's unless they really sell everybody on we want to get a second, like back to back. Lynx have never done it. You'd be a part of history, and they really sell that on everyone. Like some of these players will be leaving, and when I'm looking around of like, well, who could take some of these players? Like, who could sneak Natisha Heidemann away from the Lynx if she wanted a fresh start? And it's like, well, the Liberty have proven they have fans, they have support of the owners, they have support of the city, they have good facilities. Valkyries have kind of taken all of that on from the Warriors. And if there's a Natisha Heidemann who's looking like, hey, I want to start next year, I won my championship, it's probably the Valkyries on the short list that could snag her. Same with Bridget Carlton, same with a lot of players around the league. And then you look at, the Chicagos, the Connecticut's, the Atlantas, Dallas, just to name a few of the teams that maybe don't have as much facilities or don't play in front of crowds of 20,000 people. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Golden State has a really good case to try and snag some of those players too, now that they can say, I mean, look, you're going to get paid, you're going to be in the Bay Area, the weather's nice, and look at the support you have behind you in this city. And one thing I've really learned from especially Dejanay coming from Dallas to Minnesota is like those things really matter to people. Like it's nothing to scoff at when you have like an
Yeah.
omelet. That matters to people when you get to go into work and
Absolutely.
have breakfast and the fans like you and you're getting standing ovations coming off the bench. And it seems like Golden State set themselves up to be similar. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. Definitely. I know Joe Lacob has referenced Bill Walsh, right? The
Yeah.
legendary 49ers head coach, multiple times, and he's paraphrased some of Bill Walsh's like famous quotes. So I'm probably paraphrasing Joe Lacob's paraphrasing, right? But one of the things he likes to remind people within his organization, right, is that champions behave like champions before they're champions. Right. So I
Yeah.
think that's why he's saying like not just the coaching staff, not just players, but the ownership, right? The executives
Yep.
themselves, they have to. So that's the thing. I think it was very important from day one to continue, right? Like to establish, hey, we are going to treat not just the players, but like, this organization, this franchise, the league, we are going to take it seriously. If we don't take ourselves seriously, how are other people going to take us seriously? So, I mean, I'm with you. I do. I think I think the Valkyries, they truly want to model themselves. I think more like the Lynx and the Liberty, in terms of
Yeah.
how they build rosters, how they maintain rosters in terms of like, all the stuff, right? Scouting, cap management, as you said, all the different kind of like resources, amenities available. And they do. From everything I've seen, I've had an opportunity to tour the facilities. I've seen the practice facilities. I've seen the visiting locker room. Don't think, right, that was like not intentional, right? Of course,
Yeah,
they want those other teams, those other
100%.
players, So definitely, definitely, and which again goes back to what you're saying. Like, I mean, I think it's the mark of success when a fan base does build that emotional attachment with their players. So it will be hard to see some of this year's roster move on, but yeah, I think they positioned themselves really well to be in strong consideration from some of these top free agents, potentially even some of the ones on your team. Right?
I mean,
Yeah.
there are going to be a lot of. It's going to be really fascinating to see how strong that culture pull is this offseason because
Oh,
players like Court, T, BC. I think it's pretty safe to assume that like Alana Smith, K-Mac, and Fee are back. And I think it's safe to assume Court will be back as well. But everyone else, I mean, they talk about how much they love each other. They love this team. They love Cheryl. They love the facilities, the city. But, for a player like Jessica Shepard, who should probably be playing 35 minutes a night somewhere and be paid like a starting center, it's going to be really hard to it'll test Cheryl's ability to convince all of these players to stay here. But I want to share one story with you, and
please.
it's because Chechi gets taken in the expansion draft, and I think when that happened, the collective crash out from Lynx Twitter of like they did not expect Chechi was going to be the player that would get picked.
I gotta admit, real quick, I was shocked. I was shocked that it was Chechi who was
Chechi
available.
got picked. She was a fan favorite. Like she legitimately, I think, fans really enjoyed her, but no one thought she was going to get picked. And the second she got picked, the only thing that came to mind was Cheryl told us a story once that the reason she drafted Chechi way back in the original Lynx dynasty was because when she was coaching the Olympic team, Diana Taurasi said, "The one player I hate playing against is that F bleeping Italian." So Cheryl just filed that away for, drafted her. Eventually they ended up cutting her. I believe it was in 2016 or 2017. Chechi went back and played overseas. And then when they had an opportunity to bring her back, that was one of the first things Cheryl says was like, "We finally got that effing Italian on our team." And when she got drafted, that's the first thing I thought is like, someone stole that effing Italian from us.
Bringing it back actually to both this season and this upcoming playoff series between us, Chechi, if we have even a shot, okay, let's be real. Fine, you want my prediction? Valkyries aren't going to win this series, okay? Like I'm not. I can't. No, I can't like be. I'm a glass half full guy. You know that we've talked before. I'm a glass half full.
You are genuinely pretty positive.
But no. But if we can at least win one game, and even give ourselves a shot, at somehow like pulling off this upset. Like we need Chechi to be at well, I doubt she'll be 100% by Sunday, but whatever, as close to 100% as she can get. The way she was playing prior to her recent injury, like when she came back from Eurobasket, like, okay.
Yeah.
I was telling Michael this on East Meets West. Like, you never want anyone to get hurt, right? But before, after Eurobasket, they were trying like a double big lineup. So Monique Billings kind of went back to playing the 4 because she's been mostly a backup 5. Temi was, playing at the 5. And then Monique went down with like a high ankle sprain, so she was out for like, a month plus. And then that's when before Ileana Rupert had really joined the team or really gotten her rhythm, Chechi was inserted into the starting lineup, right? So basically Chechi and Janelle Salon were kind of like the 3-4 combo. And they unlocked each other. That's the thing. Now, Janelle is still playing well, but they collectively hit a level that I don't think either had seen in their respective careers, right? A lot of which is because, like, I think Natalie found out, wait a minute, they're interchangeable. I could literally run the exact same sets for both of them. And like the 2-man game between them was just crazy, right? Instead of having the bigs set like drag screen, she's just having them do it for each other, on a possession to possession basis. The flex cuts, the dribble handoffs between them. It's great because it's playing to their strengths. They could basically both do like double isolation sets. That's the thing, right? Now she didn't make a 3 the other night, but overall, like the way she was moving kind of gives, like, if I'm being back to me and being optimistic, or like, like she looked good. She looked like she was moving well. You'd have to believe that a shooter of her caliber, like, she'll knock some threes down, right? She won't go like over from 3. But
she's also sneaky good at putting the ball on the deck and getting, like, she's not going to get to the rim very often. She's not good at like getting underneath the basket and getting layups, but she is really good at doing that, like Chris Paul, put the ball on the deck, get to one of the wings, and then just like hit a mid-range shot that no one else really has on the Valkyries. So like, I do think she unlocks some things for them. It's just a matter of, I mean, the reason Chechi was playing 10 minutes for the Lynx last year is because she's, kind of circling back to the beginning, is she's a 6th player. I mean, she's not in best terms, even though I love Chechi, she's probably not a starting player in this league, but she's being asked to be a really big piece, which, to your point, it makes it really hard to pick the Valkyries to get an upset here.
But again, given that how much time she missed, I don't know if Natalie will go back to her in the starting lineup, that is. Because right now they've been going with Veronica Burton, Kyla Charles, Janelle Salon, Ileana Rupert, and then Temi. And Kyla Charles, to her credit, has been fantastic, right? Again, I think it's just her. I think a lot of fans were not pleased with the way she played in Dallas, but I think it's just one of those cases where, again, right, like as you said, these are at their best. A lot of these players are better suited for like a super sub role, know. And so Kyla Dallas, because of a number of reasons, right, injuries and maybe just kind of a unevenly built roster. Let's put it that way, right? While she was there, she had to do more, so kind of expose the things she didn't do well. Here with the Valkyries, she has a very streamlined role. She's been great at it, But all of that's to say is Ileana Rupert has been great. But again, as you were saying, the ability for Chechi to really attack the mid-range with like either a 1 or 2 pull-up, one or two dribble pull-up, and Salon can do the same. At the same time, right, you had like 4 with Veronica Burton, Kyla Charles. You would have 4 players who could, in theory, stretch the floor and allow Temi to be the rim runner that she is. Now, Temi and Ileana Rupert have been playing fantastic together, but it's a different element because, again, you lose that mid-range element that Chechi has. So I'm hoping that at least... See, again, I've said this from the start. The Valks are actually built for a 3-game series.
Yeah.
The nature
they are.
The way they play, like grinding out possessions, it's harder to do that over a 7-game series. In theory, you could do that over 3 games.
It was really hard to try and explain. I was trying to explain it to fans earlier of like, when it was the whole, would you rather play Seattle or Golden State for those 2 days? And like, I ended up settling on like, yes, I would rather play Golden State, but Golden State, because of their 3-point volume, because of their defense, because of just how weird they are, I mean, they could win game 2 at home and then shoot 55% from 3 and it's just over. I think their top end talent is why I ultimately said, like, I'd rather have the Lynx play Golden State, because just the gap between, the Lynx starting 5 and the Valkyries starting 5, just objectively talent wise, is so vast. Whereas, with Seattle, you have Skylar Diggins, you have more of a star laden team that, it's just a little scarier, I'd say. But like the Valkyries are built to win a 3-game series. Like there is a world in my mind where they could come in and take game 1 because the Lynx are maybe feeling themselves. And then in game 2 or 3, they just, because they shoot so many of their shots from 3, they just have one of those historic 60% 3-point shooting games. And then the Lynx are sitting at home going, what the heck happened?
I mean, in these last 2 games, you could already see Cheryl made a couple adjustments, you know, already in anticipation of the Valkyries. Obviously, it's no surprise. Veronica Byrne is like the absolute offensive catalyst. Or frankly, she does everything for this team. So these last 2 matchups, we've seen, you know, whether it was Natisha Heidemann or Court, like she had them basically pick up Veronica Burton full court, and then you already had someone ready to send the double or blitz at half court. You know, they didn't do that. You guys didn't do that in the first couple matchups. So that's a lot of respect shown to Veronica Burton. It also indicates that you don't really believe anybody else is a threat to attack off the dribble. I don't necessarily disagree. Now, there were a couple times, again, especially in that, which matchup was it? Whichever matchup it was, maybe even this last one, right? Because of that, they were able to, the Valks were able to draw the switch that would get usually like something like Janelle Salon on Natisha Heidemann, you know? And so they were able to attack that mismatch. I would expect them to do that a lot, you know, or to go to it when it presents themselves. They were going out of their way, the Valks that is, to draw that switch. That's the thing, right? Like they're going to have to, it is still a free flowing offense, but they are going to be a little bit more methodical, or intentional, deliberate, right? With what area of the court they attack to draw those things. But yeah, in my opinion though, like it's easy for fans. They like to say, okay, right? Like the Valks have no chance. Like the Lynx have so much talent. I don't disagree. And they always point to, again, like, you know, Fee's all around brilliance, you know, Courtney Williams, just, you know, kind of whatever.
Courtney Williams.
Know, like,
let's just leave it at that. Everyone listening will know what Courtney Williams.
Yeah, Natisha Heideman's right, rim frequency and all that stuff. But specifically, I think what really gets the Valkyries and even their defense like on tilt is that they actually do. I mean, I think you would agree if you watch, they actually defend the Lynx initial action really well. But
normally they do. They do get that first pick and roll or that first pick and fade. They do. They switch or they send a double really well. It seems like when they're forced to scramble, it falls apart a little bit, though.
Exactly. And why are they scrambling? It's, in my opinion, it's because I think the Lynx, at any given time, they have 5 like truly high level passers. That's the thing. Like a backup center like Jessica Shepard isn't supposed to be able to make those kinds of passes, right? Like even if you crash the paint on feet, like no, you're not supposed to be able to like do like a bowling ball pass and like get it to Bridget Carlton in the corner for like a bailout 3. It's those things, right? It's like they can defend the initial action. They may even be able to like stop the reset, but like those late clock things, it's gotten them in every single one of these matchups. And that's not luck. That is, in my opinion, what makes the Lynx such a formidable opponent to anyone, you know? So we'll see. I mean, all you could do is, again, just try to be as alert as possible, but
that's what it is the but. We say all these things, then we end with a but, and it's like they're just so good. Conrad, I will call it there. I appreciate you so much for coming in and talking some Valkyries Lynx to the 500 plus people that have swung through the live. Appreciate all of you. Lynx fans are wild for your dedication to hopping on and listening to us talk for almost an hour here, but Conrad, I want to give you the opportunity. Anything you want to plug? Where can people find you? Anything cool upcoming that you're excited about? The floor is yours.
Well, thanks, man. Again, I truly appreciate you having me on. I'm really honored. You do like a lot of great work, hence why, again, I was so enthusiastic, right, and excited to have you on my show. But again, you can always find me on X. My handle's at CP3_777. And at the top of my profile, you'll find the link to my podcast, East Meets West. I would love it if you would, subscribe, check out all the videos. We talk about NBA, WNBA, all kinds of stuff. Check out the videos, drop a like, drop a comment, anything, everything is appreciated. And I also cover like college basketball. And one of the groups I do writing for, the Center Hub. Yes, that's our name, the-center-hub.com. We are actually writing a college season preview magazine where we are writing a preview for all 365 Division I schools. Yeah. So again, you'll find the link to where you could pre-order that. It's only $12. If you're a college junkie or you want to become a college junkie like me and Andrew, I would encourage you to pick up a copy. Would really love it.
Well, Conrad, I appreciate you coming on. I love all the stuff you do as well. Love all the support you give me personally on Twitter as well. Does mean a lot, especially when, WNBA, this thing's growing and we got to be on this together, because this league's going to be, I think it's going to be something really fun to be a part of in the future. But Conrad, again, man, I appreciate it. And until Sunday, I guess we'll give it a go Lynx, but also a go Valkyries.
Go Valks.